All right, so we're going to start now, and then we're going to let more people in as they come. All right, so first of all, thank you all so much for coming today, and welcome to our seminar. The following seminar is brought to you by iExplore. I am honored to be introducing our seminar presenter today, Trent, who will be telling us all about genetics and inheritance. So Trent, take it away.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here tonight. So today we're going to talk about inheritance and genetics, which are the two things to make us unique. At first, I'm going to explain the structure of a single DNA molecule for you. A DNA molecule is made up with three parts, which are phosphate, deoxyribose, and nitrogen bases. The first two things keep constantly, but there are four kinds of nitrogen bases, which are represented by four letters, A, C, T, G. These four different nitrogen bases makes it unique. In addition, genes are DNA sequences that instruct cells to produce particular proteins. DNA sequences is considered as the list of the letters that represent nitrogen bases. And the process that the cell produces proteins based on DNA is called gene expression, but I don't want to talk further about this. Okay. Then we're going to talk about chromosomes. DNA is coiled twice around proteins called four pairs of histones. These coils are called chromatin. Chromatin condenses into even more tightly coil for proper separation called chromosome then. So you can just consider chromosomes as just a string of multiple DNA molecules. And that's also how DNA is stored in our cells. Us humans have 46 chromosomes in a typical body cell, also called somatic cell. That's the most cells in our body. Humans are diploid, meaning that most of their chromosomes come in matched sets known as homologous pairs. The 46 chromosomes of a human cell are organized into 23 pairs, and the two members of each pair are said to be homologous of one another, which means they are mostly the same. Human sperm and eggs, however, which have only one homologous chromosome from each pair, are said to be haploid, and the process that a diploid cell to convert into haploid is called meiosis. But I'm not going to talk about this further today. And for each homologous pair of chromosomes in your genome, one of the homologous comes from your mother and the other from your father. When a sperm and egg fuse, their genetic material combines to form one complete diploid set of chromosomes. So since the sperm or eggs only have 23 chromosomes, when they combine together, you get a cell with 46 chromosomes, which is diploid. The sex chromosomes. The sex chromosomes, X and Y, determines a person's biological sex. XX specifies female and XY specifies males. These chromosomes are not true, and these chromosomes are not true homologous and are an exception the rule of the same gene in the same places, aside from small regions of similarity needed during meiosis or sex cell production. X and Y chromosomes are different and carry different genes. The other 44 non-sex chromosomes in humans are called autosomes. In addition, these 44 autosomes or 22 pairs of autosomes are numbered through 1 to 22. So here is an image that shows all chromosomes. You can see that 22 pairs of autosomes are numbered, and each pair of chromosomes has two homologous chromosomes, and they're mostly the same. And in this image, the green chromosomes are from a dad, and the purple chromosomes are from a mother. Each pair of your chromosomes are from your both parents. So actually, you inherited for each pair of chromosomes, you inherited one from your dad and one from mom. That's really important. Then I have a question here. Who controls your gender, your father or mother? Can anyone answer this question?
If you have the answer to this question, you can just type it down in the chat below and then direct it to any of the hosts, and we will get the answer. Or direct it specifically to me, iExplore Club. So does anyone have an answer or want to make a guess? So mother or father, facing from this graph right here. Does anyone want to make a guess? Looking from this graph, you see that father gives X and Y's to children, while mothers give all X's. So what does that mean? Does anyone want to make a guess about it? Anyone? Bonus cookie points if you guess it. All right, we got an answer that is half mother, half father. Trent, what do you think?
Actually, I want to wait for more answers. So if you have any guesses or answers, just type in the chat.
Hint though, it's not both, it's either one. So just you have two choices, mother or father, A or B. All right, so another participant guessed mother.
I didn't see it in the chat.
We have one person who typed father. All right, so Trent, can you give the answer now, please?
Wait, how did you see the answer? I didn't see any of the answer. All right. So the answer is the father. Can you hear me? The answer is the father. Because remember I said here, one of the homologous comes from your mother and other from your dad. So this rule also includes the sex chromosomes. Your sex chromosomes, okay, so you have one pair of sex chromosomes, include two chromosomes. One of the sex chromosomes is from your father and the other is from your mother. And your mother will inherit your mother will inherit one of her chromosomes. And I said that XX specifies female and XY specifies male. So your mother has X and X chromosomes. So she will always give you X chromosome. And your father is male. He has both X and Y chromosomes. And he will give you either X or Y chromosome. If he gives you X chromosome, then your genotype should be X and X. We're not talking about genotype yet. So let's say your sex chromosomes should be X and X, then you will be a girl. But if your father gives you Y chromosome, and now your sex chromosome should be X and Y, then you will be a boy. So since your mother always gave you X chromosome, and your father will give you one of the sex chromosomes, so it's your father who determines your gender. And you can also get the answer in its image. The mother always gives you X chromosome, but your father will give you either X or Y chromosome. Okay, so move into next stage. Alleles. Alleles are different versions of the same gene, different by one or more base sequence. You have 2 copies of each gene in 2 chromosomes. Same genes get the same letters. Different alleles are capitalized or lowercase. So look at this example. This is an example of the flower's color. This gene controls its flower's color. So both two areas are represented as the letter B. But one of this area controls purple color. So we represented it as a capitalized B, and the other controls white color. So this area is represented as a lowercase b. Oh, by the way, it's a trick question because I shall tell you that I shall tell you at here that one of the homologous chromosome comes from mother and the other from your dad, and your mom also has 2 chromosomes, and your parents also have 2 chromosomes for each pair, and they will give you one of the 2 chromosomes. I shall tell you this fact here, so you know this question better. Alleles are either dominant or recessive. Capital letters are dominant to recessive. Dominant masks recessive allele trait. The 2 letters, one from each allele makes this our genotype, and the trait is called phenotype. Oh, these are the 4 very important facts. The alleles are either dominant or recessive. Dominant masks recessive allele, which means in this example, we use capitalized B to represent purple allele. So the purple allele is dominant, and the white allele, which is represented by lowercase b, is recessive. And if the flower has only capitalized b or lowercase b, then of course it's purple or white. But if it has both capitalized b and lowercase b, which means it both has purple allele and white allele, then the color of it is purple because purple allele is dominant. It masks the recessive allele, which is the white allele. And the genotype is just the two alleles that makes up the genotype is made up by the two letters, the two alleles. So the genotypes of these three flowers are capitalized B, capitalized B, capitalized B, capitalized lowercase b, and lowercase b. The trait is called phenotype. So the phenotype of these three flowers are purple, purple, and white. It's clear.
All right, Trent, before we go any further, can you first answer this question that Angelina asked in the question? So what are alleles? Can you give a definition for alleles first before we go any further, please? Thank you.
I said in this slide, okay. An allele is a version of the same gene. So at first, I said genes are DNA sequence. DNA sequence are just okay. So we move back to the first slide. Okay. DNA are made up of three parts. These two parts, phosphate and deoxyribose, are keeping constantly, but this part, nitrogen bases, have four outcomes. We use four letters to represent these four outcomes. The structure of the nitrogen bases can change, and there are four different kinds of nitrogen bases, which are A, C, T, G. And our chromosomes is a strand of multiple DNA molecules. So the nitrogen basis of each DNA molecule is different. Genes are DNA sequences. Here I say genes are DNA sequences. DNA sequences is just the list of these letters. So if we have three different DNA, if we have three DNA molecules in one chromosome, and then there are 12 outcomes at all. These 12 outcomes could be 12 different alleles. So does this answer your question? Allele is just the different versions of the same gene, and genes can be different by one or more base sequence. This base is the nitrogen basis in a DNA molecule. Does this answer your question?
I'm sure it does. Thank you so much for that answer.
Okay. So here are two vocabulary words. Homozygous. All alleles are the same. If an individual genes all alleles are the same, then it's homozygous. If an individual genes alleles are different, it means it has multiple types of alleles, and it's heterozygous. Oh, here in this image, we can call this gene as we can call this individual as homozygous for dominant, because both alleles for this gene is dominant. Are dominant, and we can call this we can call this individual as homozygous for recessive because both alleles for this gene are recessive. They are lowercase b, and we can call both of these two individuals heterozygous because they both have a lowercase b and a capitalized b. Punnett square for monohybrid. The term monohybrid means two alleles for one gene. Okay. If you are learning genetics and inheritance in school, most outcomes you are learning is monohybrid, means two alleles for one gene. But actually, we have, we're going to talk about later. Okay, so this Punnett square is used to predict the ratio of the offspring. Here, we write one parent as a top, and the other parent at the side. Then we write the two alleles of them like next to them. Okay, and based on these alleles of parents, we can write different outcomes of their offspring in the Punnett square. See here, we have 4 different outcomes. In this square, in this little square, both parents inherited their capitalized B to the offspring. So the offspring is homozygous for dominant. And at these two little squares, one of the parent inherited their capitalized the dominant alleles to offspring, and the other one inherited the recessive alleles. So they are heterozygous. And at this little square, both parents inherited their recessive alleles to offspring. So the offspring is homozygous for recessive. And then we can predict the percentage of each outcome. The chance for offspring to become heterozygous, which means to have both capitalized and lowercase b, is a half. And the percentage for an offspring to become homozygous for both dominant or recessive is a quarter. We can see that among the 4 outcomes, there are 2 outcomes there are 2 heterozygous outcomes, and 1 heterozygous for dominant and 1 heterozygous for recessive. And we can also predict the percentage for each phenotype of the offspring. These are the genotypes. The percentage for offspring to become purple is 3/4, and the percentage for offspring to become white is a quarter. Out here, in the 4 outcomes, there are 3 outcomes, which is purple, and 1 outcome is white. That's a simple math. And we also need to know one very important rule, which is called the law of independent assortment. Mendel's law of independent assortment, which is obviously found by Mendel. It states that the alleles of two or more different genes get sorted into gametes independently of one another. In other words, the allele of a gamete received for one gene does not influence the allele received for another gene. So look at this example. This allele, this alleles, this alleles control the color of the flower. So it does not influence its size or shape. And on the other hand, the genes that control its shape or size, of course, does not influence its color. The two genes don't influence each other. One gene controls just one trait. But sometimes the trait controlled by genes can be the same or have same part. It's called epigenetics, but I'm not going to talk about this. But keeping in mind, inheritance is very complex. Not all rules not all rules or laws are always right. And Mendel saw that all of the genes are controlled by two alleles. These genes are called Mendel genes, and this kind of inheritance are called Mendel inheritance. But there are also ways of inheritance that does not follow this law. And this kind of inheritance are called non-Mendel inheritance. Here's one example of the non-Mendel inheritance. It's called incomplete dominance. In the heterozygous genotype, both dominant alleles blend together, resulting in an intermediated phenotype. So look at this example. Look at this example. Red flower, which has capitalized R, two capitalized R's, and the white flower, which has two lowercase r's. They have an offspring. The offspring is neither red or white, it's pink. It has both capitalized R and lowercase r, which represent the red allele and the white allele. So its color is a combination of red and white. It seems that these two alleles combine together and work together. They are both function in the color. Its color. Another non-Mendel dominance inheritance is called codominance. Co means two. So both dominant in codominance, both dominant alleles are expressed in a heterozygous offspring. So look at this example. One bird is blue and the other bird is white, and their offspring both have white and blue color. So these two alleles are not combining, are not one masking another. They're both expressing, and they're not fixing together. That's called codominance. Oh, by the way, in codominance or incomplete dominance, these two alleles are neither dominant or recessive. Although we use capitalized R to represent red color and lowercase r to represent white color, but they are neither dominant nor recessive. Oh, also in this example, CB represents blue color and CW represents white color. Another dominant or not recessive because they are both functioning in a trait. None of the allele is masking another allele. So that's why they are called non-Mendel inheritance. Because Mendel believed that one gene must have two alleles, and one allele must be dominant, and another allele must be recessive. The dominant allele must mask recessive allele. But these two kinds of inheritance does not follow this law. And then we have an example of multiple alleles for one gene. All of the examples we talked earlier is just two alleles for one gene, but for humans blood type, we have three alleles that influence this trait. Okay? The dominant alleles are so there are three alleles, okay, which are we just call this IA, IB, and lowercase I. These two capitalized letters, of course, they are dominant, and the lowercase letters, lowercase r, I, is recessive. So since we have three different alleles, and we randomly pick two of them, how many outcomes can we get? That's a math question. Just typing in answer, and we can have two same alleles. So how many outcomes can we get?
All right, and if you have an answer,
a very simple math question.
If you have an answer, just make sure to put it down in the comments below, and then I will read it off to Trent.
But we have three alleles. We randomly pick two of them, and we can pick two same alleles. So how many outcomes do we get? That's a very simple math question. Just having in the chat.
All right, we got 4 from Tiger.
Seriously?
Can we get another answer, please? Again, extra bonus cookie points if you have an answer. It doesn't even have to be correct. Just give an answer. So far, we only have one answer, and that is 4 from Tiger. So good job, Tiger. Thank you so much for answering.
If you list all the outcomes, that should be better. Okay, I'm waiting for another answer. Say 2 answers. Then I'm going to show just the correct answer. Okay. I think everyone can.
All right, we got another answer, and it's 5. All right, Trent, can you give us the answer, please, now?
The
All right,
correct
and number
answer
5
is
here.
actually 6. Cause I already cause okay, I'm going to list all the outcomes in the chart. Oh, look at the image. Actually, I have already given the answer in the image. So there are 6 different genotypes at all, which are IA, and lowercase I, IB, IB and lowercase I, IB and lowercase 2 lowercase I. Okay. Oh. So since IA and IB are dominant alleles, if a blood cell has, if the if the blood cell has both have both A or both B, then its blood type should be, of course, should be certainly A and B. But if it has I and a lowercase I, or IB and a lowercase I, then it's A or B, because I and IB are dominant alleles. They must recessive allele, which is lowercase I. And we can see that it's also an example of codominance, because if the blood cell has both IA and IB, then its phenotype is neither A or B. It's A and B. Okay. If the blood cell has both lowercase I, then its phenotype should be O. So these 6 different alleles forms the 4 different blood types, as we know: A, B, A and B, and O. Okay. Then I have another question here. A woman with type O blood has a child with a man with blood type AB. Which parent will have the same blood type as the child?
All right, do we have an answer or maybe a guess?
If you have any answers or guesses, and put it in the chat.
Basically, just type woman or man. Those are your 2 choices. All right, we got an answer that is AB or man. So 2 answers for man. Another man. Should we wait for one more answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So, all right, we got another AB. So Trent, could you reveal the right answer, please?
Okay. That's a trick question, actually, because none of the parents would have the same blood type as the child. And actually, when Cassie was saying that the answer is either man and woman, I know that no one could give the correct answer. Okay, so let's see here. The man has, the woman has type B, type O blood. So the only outcome for her is that her genotype is 2 lowercase I, and the man has type AB blood. So the only outcome for him is that his genotype is IA and IB. So the woman would always give the child lowercase I, and the man will give his child either IA or IB. Then the child's genotype should be IA and lowercase I or IB and lowercase I. Then, so therefore, the child's phenotype should be either A or B instead of AB or O. So none of the parents would have the same blood type as the child. That's a very trick question. And we have another question here. Is it possible for a man with a type B blood and a woman with type AB produce a child with type O blood?
All right, we got a no. Does anyone else want to answer? So it's a yes or no question. Or we got another no. Another no. So we have 3 no's in total now.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys are correct. The correct answer is no, because can you get type the reason that the answer is no in the chat? Based on this image.
All right, one of our participants said that you can only get A, B, or AB blood types.
Yes.
All right, we got another one of those same answers. AB or A or B.
And I'm going to wait for another answer. Then I'll tell you why. I think
Another AB, A, or B. So we got the same answers 3 times now.
That's correct. The possible genotypes for the child is A, B, and AB. Because it will never have a blood type of O. Because if you want to have a blood type O, you must have 2 lowercase I allele. But one of your parents, the woman has type AB blood, which means she has IA and IB. So she will give her child either IA or IB allele. Then the child will never have type O blood. Okay. So does anyone have questions left? If you have any questions, want to ask me, just type in chat.
All right, so we got one question so far. It's that usually mothers give birth to babies. So how do fathers control the gender?
I've already explained this question. Okay. Here. Look at this image. The gene, what controls your gender is actually your sex chromosomes, and your sex chromosomes are inherited from your parents. As that, a sex chromosomes is actually two sex chromosomes. I mean, a pair of sex chromosomes is actually two chromosomes, and these two chromosomes, one of the chromosomes are from your dad, and the other is from your mom. And since your mother is male, I'm sorry, your mother is female, obviously. A female always has two X chromosomes. So your mother will always give you X chromosome, but your father, which is a male, has both X and Y chromosomes. And he will either give you X or Y chromosomes. And as said, XX specifies female and XY specifies males. Your mother always give you X chromosome, and your mother always give you X chromosome. And what determines your gender is the other chromosome. If your father gives you X, then your phenotype, your genotype should be X and X, and you'll be a girl. If your father gives you Y chromosome and your phenotype should be X and Y, then you will be a boy. No, so actually, both like actually like in actually more scientifically, actually both parents determine your gender, but your mother always give X chromosome and it won't make a change. So it's actually your father who can choose the gender. Does this answer your question?
All right, I think that definitely answers the question. So basically, the father is the one who makes the difference because he has the different chromosome that is actually
But
not
keep
the same.
in mind, so if we said more scientifically, both parents should like influence your gender, because both parents inherited one sex chromosome, but it's just because your father have two different chromosomes, and your mother always have the same chromosomes. Okay, all right. Does anyone have questions like this?
So far I don't see any more questions, but if you do
Alright.
get any more questions, make sure to put it in the chat, and then I think we will just end in a few minutes if nothing comes up. So if you have any questions,
So
make
for
sure
the
to
next,
put it in the chat.
for the last 8 minutes, let's just watch a video that probably better helps you understand this topic. It's about chromosomes.
I've seen too many pictures of chromosomes. So diagrams.
Oh, and it talks about replication of chromosomes, which is utilized important process in meiosis. And remember,
My chromosomes, but then I started to wonder why are these chromosomes resembling the letters of the alphabet? And then sometimes they look like single stick pieces and not X shapes, and I wondered what is going on with these things. I also thought that if humans have 46 chromosomes, then they're in there somewhere deep inside the body.
Trent, there's a few students in the chat that says they can barely hear the video.
what?
They say that they can barely hear the video. The audio is really bad.
Whoa.
Well, these are some misconceptions I had.
What about now?
We're hoping to clear up a little bit about chromosomes.
It's better now, but it's like a bit glitchy. Is a problem happening for anyone else? Is the video glitchy for anyone? You can just type it down in the chat. It's better now. Or I think we can just continue watching then, but feel free to leave if you have to.
Scientific, obviously, but they can help with our explanations, which are, while you can find chromosomes in bacteria where chromosomes tend to have circular shapes, we are going to focus on eukaryote chromosomes. Specifically, we're going to focus on human chromosomes. Chromosomes are made of chromatin, and chromatin consists of DNA and protein. A chromosome itself is really intense packaging. It starts with DNA being wound around proteins called histones. This forms nucleosomes, which are often considered to look like beads. More and more condensing packaging levels occur. We highly encourage you to explore this until it results into the chromosome level. But why all this packing? Well, in your cells, you have a lot of DNA and it has to fit inside a nucleus. Another reason it's also really important for when you make more cells, like in the process of mitosis. But in mitosis, you have to be able to move DNA into new
Mitosis
daughter
is a
cells.
process.
You have so much DNA that these highly packed chromosome units make it easier to do so.
A somatic
By the way,
cell
it's not always packed up so tightly. For example, in DNA replication, DNA typically needs to be unwound. There are a variety of factors that also influence how tightly packed chromatin is. Let's get kind of a general idea about how human chromosomes may be represented. Human chromosomes can be like this as a single component, or they can be replicated like this. In our chromosome counting video, we mentioned when chromosomes are duplicated during interphase, the newly made chromosome is still bound here in this region called the centromere. By the way, this region does not technically have to be in the center of the chromosome. Because of it being joined here, we still count this as one chromosome unit, but that can be kind of confusing. We say that there are two sister chromatids. So one chromosome here, it duplicates, and now, while this is still attached, it's still one chromosome. So in humans, you have 46 chromosomes. In interphase, they are duplicated. There are still 46 chromosomes here, but that's 92 chromatids in the picture. During a stage of mitosis, those 92 chromatids get pulled apart, so each cell will have 46 chromosomes. Now, just a side note, while most of your body cells have 46 chromosomes, it's important to remember that certain genes on the chromosome may be turned on or off by a variety of factors. For example, you wouldn't want your eye cells actively using a gene to produce stomach enzymes. So would you ever get a chance to see all 46 of your chromosomes clearly? Well, you could in something called a karyotype, an image of all your chromosomes. It's possible to have a karyotype made as part of some types of medical screenings. In a karyotype, the chromosomes are stained and visible. The chromosomes from a karyotype are typically from a cell that is in a mitosis stage, typically metaphase. These chromosomes are condensed and thick. A karyotype during interphase would be a challenge because you don't have that condensed DNA packing. Now, something confusing to clarify. When searching for karyotypes, sometimes it'll be represented kind of like this diagram, and sometimes you see something like this. And while both show 46 chromosomes, the number of chromatids in the two images here seem different. So what's going on? Now, while the mitosis stage is anaphase or telophase would be a time when each chromosome would have a single chromatid, those phases are generally not when you do a typical karyotype. For optimal viewing, a typical karyotype is taken at or right before metaphase. Recall from mitosis that in metaphase, the chromosome would have two joined sister chromatids. It's just that many times the joined sister chromatids of the chromosome can be so close together that to an untrained eye, it might be difficult to see that each chromosome in a karyotype technically has two sister chromatids. When arranging the karyotype, the chromosomes are arranged in homologous pairs. Homologous chromosomes are about the same size and contain the same types of genes, and in each homologous pair, you receive one chromosome from one parent and one chromosome from the other parent. 23 pairs. 22 of the pairs, 44 of the chromosomes, are called autosomes. That means they are not related to your biological sex. They may have genes related to eye color or height or hair texture. The last two chromosomes are called sex chromosomes because they determine biological sex. Females have two X chromosomes, males have one X and one Y chromosome. Oh, and just a side note, the name X and the name Y have nothing to do with the shape of them. The reason is an interesting topic to look up though. So 23 of these chromosomes are from the father, from a sperm cell, which is a gamete. Unlike body cells, gametes have the number of chromosomes as body cells. Sperm cells are considered haploid because they only have one set of chromosomes. The other 23 of the chromosomes came from the mother, contained in an egg, which is also a gamete. An egg cell is haploid because, like the sperm cell, it contains only one set of chromosomes. When a sperm and egg cell combine, they form a fertilized egg, known as a zygote. The resulting cell is diploid, as it contains two sets of chromosomes, and it will divide to continue to form more diploid cells. You are a diploid organism. Now, if you look at the sex chromosomes, you know that mothers can only give an X chromosome, because that's the only type of sex chromosome they have. But fathers could give an X, the baby would be XX, female, or a Y, the baby is XY, male. So fathers determine the biological sex. So why do we care about karyotypes or learning about chromosomes? Well, one reason is it can really help when we are trying to understand genetic disorders. A karyotype can reveal missing chromosomes or extra chromosomes at specific locations. Do you have an interest in a career that involves this area of study? The field of genetics continues to expand, and the career of a genetic counselor may be something to read up on. Well, that's it for the Mubis.
Okay.
All right, since it's already 7 o'clock, we're actually gonna end here because we do have a time limit for this. But thank you so much for sharing today, Trent. That was a really great seminar and you had a lot of information. And again, big thank you to everyone who attended our seminar because iExplore wouldn't happen without all of you guys. So thank you so much for attending. And we have this QR code right here. And then if you want to contact us, you can just scan this QR code right here, and then it will lead you to a WeChat account that will connect you to us. All right, so I think that's it for today. And thank you guys so much. And thank you, Trent, for this seminar. And we'll see you next time, guys. I hope all of you have a great day. See you guys next time. Bye. Bye, guys.